Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now it is happening. Bitcoin is crashing below a critical level of support in the short term, which means the price of Bitcoin is still repeating history exactly like what we saw in 2022. So in just a moment, I'll be revealing what is very likely about to happen next for the price of Bitcoin alongside Ethereum, which is now perfectly rejecting from this very important Fibonacci level, while the price of XRP is starting to possibly break below the final significant level of support before potentially much lower price targets. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a quick look at the US stock market today. This right here is the S&P 500 index on the 1 hour time frame, and we can see that over the last 1 day or so, we've actually seen a decent drop off, at least in the short term, for the US stock market. And as I always say, stocks and crypto are highly correlated. It's not a perfect one-to-one correlation, but usually if we see some sort of quick drop like this in the US stock market, don't be surprised if we see some sort of bearish move for Bitcoin and crypto. And so just keep this in mind moving forward. The stock market is once again back to showing a little bit of weakness, having a slight little cool off in the short term, which overall is, at least in the short term, bad news for Bitcoin and crypto. So just keep that in mind throughout the video. But if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the weekly time frame, nothing's really changed at all over the last 1 day on this larger time frame here. So the super trend indicator still sitting in the red, and we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for playing out on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. And here on the daily Bitcoin price chart, the price of Bitcoin is just now starting to break below a key level of support, which was sitting at around 85 to 86,000. And previously over the last multiple months, this has been acting as a major support for the price at around 85 to 86,000. But obviously, once again, right now the price of Bitcoin, at least as of recording this video, is currently trading below 85 to 86,000. In fact, we even hit below 84,000 as of recording this video. But keep in mind, we still need to confirm the daily candle close below that support level in order to technically confirm the break towards the downside. Then, of course, we need to fail to get back above that level to keep the break towards the downside active. And so at least for now, obviously, things are not looking too good, at least in the short term, for the price of Bitcoin, breaking below key support, still playing out these larger bearish signals on the larger time frames. And of course, the US stock market not doing any favors for the crypto market right now in the short term. And if we're zooming into this daily Bitcoin price chart, but comparing the current price of Bitcoin, what we're seeing right now, to what we saw back in basically Q1 entering into Q2 2022, so around March, April 2022, right now we're still playing out very similar price action, as I've been warning about for over a week now, for probably the last couple of weeks now on the channel, warning about this massive fractal and the coming bearish price action coming next for the price of Bitcoin. And obviously over the last 1 to 2 weeks, this is all playing out as warned about, and this will likely continue moving forward, especially now that we're breaking below this key level of support here. Especially if this confirms, once again, we still need to wait for confirmation, actually confirming a candle close below these previous lows based on the candle closes here. But basically, so far, we're just simply repeating history. Remember, it's not going to be a straight line down. We can see little bounces along the way. For example, that's exactly what we saw over the last few days, just a short-term bounce. But as I always say, do not be fooled by short-term bounces while this bigger picture is still looking very weak. So as always, understand the difference between the different time frames. If perhaps we're playing out, say, a bullish divergence on the 6-hour chart, that's only talking about short-term moves over a period of hours or days. Looking at the bigger picture, talking about maybe over the next multiple weeks or months, still we have to be very cautious for the price of Bitcoin because we're not showing any strength, any bullish momentum right now. In fact, we're showing a lot of weakness and starting to gather more bearish momentum. And that's really been the case since basically the moment we broke back below 94,000. The moment we broke back below that level, that was the signal that confirms basically all of this bearish price action, as I warned about all the way back here. And I continue to warn about it right now. So just keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at this 6-hour 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, obviously the price of Bitcoin is continuing the perfect rejection from my exact area of resistance here at 90,000 to 90.5k. And in fact, right now the price of Bitcoin is finally starting to break below this key area of support here, which is now actually invalidating this bullish divergence. In fact, we've already now invalidated the bullish divergence with a lower low now in the price, and of course lower lows starting to form here in the RSI, which are both invalidation signals to of course invalidate this bullish divergence. So obviously it played out very nicely here for just a couple of days, which is to be expected from a short-term bullish divergence on the 6-hour time frame. But obviously this massive resistance at 90,000 to 90.5k prevented the price from going any higher, which is why it's always important to understand where these points of resistance are sitting at on the price chart to at least be aware of the risk of a possible rejection or turnaround at around those areas of resistance. And so now that the price of Bitcoin has already now confirmed the break below this area of support for the price of Bitcoin, which was sitting at around 86.5k to 87,000, I'd now expect a resistance in that area if we see a bit of a bounce. So once again, if we see any sort of bounce here, expect a lot of resistance at around 86,500 to 87,000, and potentially some resistance as well based on this previous support that I just mentioned earlier. So really overall, of course, from time to time, we can see short-term bullish moves, but overall talking about, let's just say the next month or so, we're not looking really good at all at the moment. We're looking very, very weak. So basically saying the same thing that I've been saying for a while now on the channel over the last more than a week now, looking very weak here on the daily time frame, still repeating history. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see that just over the last few hours, over the last one day, we've now obviously wiped out that liquidity that was sitting below the price at give or take $86,000 per Bitcoin. So we've now wiped out all of those long positions that were opening massive high leverage long positions right at these levels right here, which obviously was not necessarily a wise thing to do considering we're still playing out this bearish fractal on the daily time frame. So right now a lot of those longs have been wiped out, and in fact we have more liquidity building much lower here in the price of Bitcoin, sitting at around almost 72,000 to 73,000. So around there on the lower 70k area, we do have a lot of liquidity building around there, which is at roughly around here on the price chart for the price of Bitcoin, which also lines up very well to what we saw back in 2022. And so now, as always, there's no such thing as a 100% guarantee. So just because we have that area of liquidity towards the downside as potentially a price target to watch out for, obviously there's no such thing as a guarantee. That does not guarantee the price is going to hit those levels, but just keep those levels in mind because that could perhaps be a likely target for the price of Bitcoin, especially if Bitcoin continues to repeat history and continues to break below these previous lows that we set back in around November and December last year. Obviously, if we continue the breakdown here, especially if we fail to get back above some of those key levels on the price chart, then ultimately we're still just repeating history, and then we could target potentially something as low as those lower 70k areas. But remember, it's unlikely it'll just be a straight line down. Obviously, we could see little bounces and things like that along the way, short-term bullish reliefs here and there. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, that is very normal to see along the way. And of course, even if we're playing out all of this bearish price action, you can still have ways to profit in the crypto market even during the bearish price action. For example, a basic example is just to simply short Bitcoin or crypto. If we're looking bearish, obviously a short position makes profit as the price goes towards the downside. As always, not financial advice, but that's just an example of one way you could profit from this bearish price action. Or another strategy is to simply just wait on the sidelines and wait for some lower price targets to hit and then accumulate Bitcoin or crypto at some cheaper prices to accumulate more crypto for your stable coins. As an example, once again, not financial advice, but that's just pointing out different strategies and ways to make money essentially, even while we're playing out more of a bearish market at the moment. So just keep that in mind. Don't make the mistake that a lot of beginners make of thinking that we can only make money during bullish price action, because that's really not the truth. We can make money in both directions using long positions, short positions, etc. etc., and other trading strategies. And obviously, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to the 2bit crypto exchange, which is an exchange that I personally use myself. And by the way, 2bit's also a no KYC exchange, and they've just recently partnered with La Liga. So there's currently a massive event happening right now for a limited time over on 2bit of 800,000 USD in prizes just by simply trading crypto. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out and take advantage of these major prizes here using that first link below the video to 2bit. Once again, it'll take you to this page right here, which once again, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also use to also claim some extra bonuses on, then in that situation, check out the second link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, which you can also claim some extra bonuses over here, as you can see. So if you simply make your account using that second link below the video to Pinex and complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And on top of that, there's deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So basically a bunch of free money from the exchange, which you can claim it using that second link below this video just by making a deposit or completing KYC and making your account using that link. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of that second link below the video to Pinex. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and of course, right now in the short term, the Bitcoin dominance is having a slight little pullback, but overall, we're still in this same sideways price range, simply just bouncing around relatively sideways between support and resistance. And so the price action that we're seeing right now in the Bitcoin dominance is basically just undoing the previous short-term bullish move that we saw over the last couple of weeks, which basically undid that previous short-term bearish move that we saw in the couple of weeks prior to that, which undid the previous short-term bullish move, etc. Once again, we're just basically bouncing around relatively sideways in terms of the trend or the price structure, which means overall expect very similar price action for a lot of the major altcoins out there on average to what Bitcoin is doing. So basically just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing. If Bitcoin's having a dump like this, it's very likely that a lot of the major altcoins out there on average will perform something very similar to this as well. And so with that being said, if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily Ethereum price chart, right now, obviously the price of ETH is simply following Bitcoin and the stock market, etc., with that shorter term dump at the moment. And in fact, right now the price of ETH is perfectly rejecting from this exact Fibonacci level, sitting at around $3,040. Around $3,040, $3,050 is of course the level that I've been talking about for a long time now on the channel. And once again, just over the last couple of days, we've perfectly once again rejected from that exact level. And so right now the price of ETH is indeed retesting a key area of support to watch out for, which is sitting in between around 2750 to 2.8k. So I would expect some support around here on the price chart. And if we break below around 2750, in that situation, the next support I'll be watching out for is at pretty much exactly 2.6k. And if we break below all of that on the price chart, in that situation, the next significant support is in between 2.1k to 2250. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Ethereum price chart, it's very much clear that we've now technically invalidated the previous bullish divergence, but we're possibly forming a new bullish divergence if, of course, we confirm this lower low in place in the price in the candle closes, which still needs to be done as of recording this video. That's not yet officially confirmed, but if we confirm the lower low in place in the candle closes in the price, while now confirming a new higher low in place in the RSI, once again, that would be a new bullish divergence, or effectively extending this previous bullish divergence. And now, once again, I want to make this clear, at least right now, this shorter term bullish divergence is not yet confirmed. Again, we still need to wait for confirmation signals, like of course, the lower low in place in the candle closes in the price. And then we need to confirm some sort of bounce like this in the RSI, with a couple of candle closes confirming in the green, after first confirming the lower low in place in the price in the candle candle closes. So we're still at least a number of hours away from possibly confirming this new bullish divergence. So that could possibly happen at some stage over the next day or so, which is something to watch out for, something to pay attention to, but for now, nothing to really act on. And as usual, if we confirm this new bullish divergence, or basically extends the previous bullish divergence, then as usual with a bullish divergence, we'll likely see either some choppy sideways price action or a slight bullish relief just in the short term. Remember, don't expect a significant amount of strength for a long period of time. Just a slight little relief in the short term is very likely, kind of like what we saw back here. Once again, a shorter term bullish move, but not in the clear yet if we're talking about the bigger picture. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, right now the price of Solana is also following Bitcoin, Ethereum, the stock market, etc., with that current dump at the moment in the short term. And in fact, right now the price of Solana is testing a key level of support here at around $117 based on this previous low back here. And if of course we break below 117, in that situation, we could possibly see a move all the way down towards, give or take, $100 as the next major target and a psychological level to watch out for on the price chart. If once again we first actually confirm a break below 117 with a candle close on the daily time frame below that level, and then especially if we fail to get back above that level, then of course that would confirm the break towards the downside. And as for resistance, in case we see any little bounce here in the short term, we'll likely find a decent amount of resistance in between 124 to 127 approximately, more resistance at around 131 to 133, and massive resistance in between around 143 to 147. And if we're zooming into the shorter term for the price of Solana, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, just like Ethereum possibly forming this new bullish divergence, Solana is also possibly forming a new bullish divergence. I want to make this clear, it's not yet currently confirmed as I record in this video, but we have just now confirmed a lower low in place in the price in the candle closes. So we now need to confirm this higher low in place in this 4-hour Solana RSI, which for now has not yet been confirmed. It is forming, but not confirmed. And so as usual, we need to see some sort of bounce like this confirm in the coming hours, with a couple of candle closes confirming in the green to cement the higher low in place in the RSI, considering by default, the RSI goes off candle closes. So of course, if that confirms in the coming hours, maybe over the next day or so, then as usual with a bullish divergence, we could likely see either some choppy sideways price action or slight bullish relief. Basically a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action is really what to expect from a bullish divergence. As the most likely outcome, once again, if it actually confirms. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, right now the price of XRP is possibly starting to break, not yet confirmed, but possibly starting to break below the final significant level of support before potentially much lower prices for the price of XRP. Because if we're just temporarily taking away these Fibonacci levels, we can see that really the massive support for this entire range on the price chart for the price of XRP since basically the end of 2024 throughout all of 2025, we've had this major range on the weekly XRP price chart, with the support for this range being at roughly $1.80. And usually if the price of XRP or the price of really any asset breaks below a critical level of support, basically the massive support for a huge range that's been forming for over a year, if that happens, we usually see a huge drop towards basically where we previously saw the next previous range in the past. So that would potentially be all the way back down here, maybe back down towards these sort of price targets for the price of XRP. And so we could see something similar, obviously, back in 2022. Obviously, we formed this massive range on the price chart throughout pretty much all of 2021. The huge support for the range at that time was sitting at roughly 50 to 60 cents, give or take. And then the moment we broke below around 56 cents was really the key level on the price chart. In that situation, of course, we saw a huge drop off in the price. And if we're actually measuring that move from roughly 56 cents down towards the next low, that was almost a 50% crash. Basically, the price completely halving pretty much moving forward over the next few weeks and months. And we also have to consider the fact that this massive bearish divergence on the weekly XRP price chart is still currently active. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate this larger bearish divergence, which means overall expect a lack of bullish momentum and a lot of weakness and most likely some bearish price action transaction over most likely a period of many months. And I've been saying exactly that since almost all-time highs. You can even watch my videos all the way back then around the end of July, early August last year, warning about this multi-month pullback. And right now I am giving you the same warning of a continued multi-month collapse in the price of XRP if we confirm the break below this $1.80 level. And if you're wondering what sort of prices I'll be looking at in terms of price targets towards the downside if we first confirm the break below $1.80, I want to make that clear. The immediate target would be at around $1.60. We would likely find maybe some support around $1.60, but really the next significant area on the price chart below $1.80 is in between $1.30 to $1.40. That is a key area to watch out for on the price chart if we first break below $1.80, and then below $1.30, if we break below that level on the price chart, we would likely see a move down towards roughly 90 cents. Yes, that is right, below $1 per XRP. If once again we first break below $1.80 with confirmation, ideally confirming this weekly candle close below $1.80 and then failing to get back above that level. And then once again, if we break below $1.30, a 90-cent price target is in the realm of possibility. And so if we're measuring out those sort of moves from where we are right now, give or take $1.80 towards that immediate level, that's about a 10% move down, which could be very possible. That could be very easy to happen if we once again first actually confirm the break below $1.80, and then really towards that next significant area on the price chart at 130 to 140, that's about a 20 to 25% move down, give or take. And then below that area, the next massive target at around 90 cents, give or take, is almost a 50% dump. So obviously with, let's just say, a shorts position with the total position size, you're basically making roughly half the total position size if we actually make it all the way down there towards around 90 cents. As always, not financial advice, but that's just pointing out a potential massive opportunity waiting to happen here for a possible short position to take profits along the way towards the downside. And yes, I myself am gearing up for a possible short position here. Ideally, I'd like to see a little bit more confirmation confirming the break below $1.80, because obviously the last time we were getting close towards breaking below $1.80 and I started opening a small little short position. Obviously, we continue to hold that level as support. So ideally, I'd like to see this actually confirm at least with a daily candle close, but ideally with a weekly candle close confirming below $1.80 and then actually failing to get back above that level. Ultimately, in that situation, that would be a signal, at least for me, not financial advice, but a signal for me to start opening a short position to target these lower targets. And as for resistance, if we first confirm the break below $1.80, that would likely flip into new resistance. And the next resistance towards the upside, if we actually hold this a little longer here and see a bit more of a bounce in the meantime, the next immediate resistance is at around 194, give or take. And above that, we have major resistance at around $2.05. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now, as of recording this video, the price of Chainlink is testing a key level of support based on this previous low that we saw back in June 2025. And that's sitting at around $10.90. So around $10.90, we could likely find at least some support around there on the price chart. And obviously, that's been a price target of mine since the moment we broke below roughly $12. Obviously, for over a week now, I've been saying we do have support at around $12, $11.90 to $12. But if that level breaks, expect at least a dollar drop towards the downside towards around $10.90 to $11. And right now, obviously, we're hitting that exact price target. But obviously, at least on this chart right here, that's really the final level to watch out for on the price chart. So if we actually break below around $10.90, what's next for the price of Chainlink? And well, if we're zooming out a little bit, looking at the weekly time frame, we have this area of support to watch out for in between $9.50 to $10. If that level breaks, then the next massive support is in between $8 to $8.50. And if we break below all of that, we could quite possibly see a move all the way down towards around $5 to $5.50. Obviously, if those first areas of support actually break. And of course, it goes without saying that now over the last one day, we have officially invalidated that previous bullish divergence, which did play out very nicely over the last couple of days or so with just a slight little bullish relief, which is one of the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. But considering this is only on the 6-hour Chainlink price chart, remember, as I always say, it's just a short-term signal. This does not tell us that we should be expecting a significant amount of bullish momentum or a huge trend reversal on the larger time frames because it's only a very short-term signal on a small time frame. So we should only expect this to play out maybe over a couple of days, which is exactly what happened here. And now obviously it's been invalidated with a break towards the downside in not just the price, but also the RSI forming a lower low. And yes, the RSI is now back in oversold, which means it's possible we could see just a slight little relief in the short term. But overall, if we see these bullish signals or oversold signals, anything like this in the short term, remember those are only short-term signals. The bigger picture is still looking very weak. But remember, even during all of this weakness, you can still make money in the crypto market. In fact, the weaker things get, the worse things get, the better that is, because usually the bigger the opportunities are. And of course, the more people leave crypto, they get bored, they get angry with crypto, which means there's less competition for those of us that actually stick around during this weakness or during this bearish time in the market. So just keep that in mind. Usually the longer this goes on for, the bigger the opportunities eventually get. And remember, you can use things like short positions, for example, to still profit along the way towards the downside. Not financial advice, but that's just giving you examples of ways to make money even during the bearish price action. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that you can claim using those links if you want to. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of those extra bonuses using those links below the video to those exchanges. But if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto, no matter what direction the price goes to profit, no matter what the price does, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.